how do I overcome the fear of failure and take risks in my career and my personal life? Yeah, that's a good question. That's something that I think, you know, if I think back and I look at my life, in fact, I could just even look at my life now. I could say that it's something that I have struggled with and that I do struggle with, right? How do you take these risks, right? And when you take these risks, how do you deal with failure? Like what happens if you fail, right? Especially if you are giving something up and you're not sure about the way forward, right? Because a lot of times I think we can get into this place where the thing that we have right now, it might not be the best thing and it might even be on the decline, but we don't want to give that up, right? Because we're afraid that if we give that up, that whatever we get, if that doesn't work out, then we'll be stuck with nothing. And that's kind of, honestly, that's kind of where I am right now myself, right? Because I'm sort of in this weird place, right? This weird place where, I've got this new channel, the Bulldog Mindset channel, which I've already kind of made this leap, and I don't know, was that the best choice? Videos aren't getting a lot of views, like a couple hundred views, right? At least on the old channel, I was getting a couple thousand views. And, business wise, where am I at, right? I've got the Bulldog Mindset membership. I have the Well That Never Runs Dry product. I've got a new podcast with my wife, thinking about doing some relationship coaching for men. So I've got kind of all these things that are going on. And I even still have my old company, Simple Programmer, which I'm not doing much with, but there's a lot of things that I don't want to let go of, right? So I can move on to the next thing. And it does come from that fear of failure, right? Because I was talking to one of my friends the other day, right? And he was like, dude, what you need to do is you need to just stop doing everything else and just go full on relationship coaching for men and teaching men this thing, right? And he said, if you develop this product and you can run some ads to this, and that's the primary thing. Stop making videos, stop making all this content, stop spreading yourself thin. Don't do a Stoic channel and all these things. Just focus on this one thing. He's like, you're going to be making a couple $100,000 a month. You you will. You will. Like, you'll succeed at this thing. But you have to be focused on this one thing, right? And I agree. Like, what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, don't be afraid. It doesn't mean that I'm going to completely quit this channel. And obviously, I'm still going to do the Bulldog Mindset membership. So don't be afraid of that as well. But and I do have a plan. I'm going to consolidate some things and stuff. But I just want to tell you the story for a minute, right? And so when he said that, obviously I agreed with him, right? Because it makes sense. What he says is true, right? And what I realized is, like, why don't I just do this? And the reason why is because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of failure, right? If I knew for sure that I could do this and that I would be successful at this, then of course I would jump into this. Of course I would do that, right? And go full bore into this, because it's not just about the money either, right? It's like, yeah, I would like to increase the income in my business, right? But I would like to do this, right? If I think about, like, what are the things that I talk about that I'm most passionate about today, it is really helping men in relationships, right? If you saw the video that came out a couple of days ago, where I talked about how, what does she bring to the table, in the answer to that question, you can tell that I'm passionate about that. You can tell that that is something that I really think is valuable to men, right? And it does encompass becoming more of a man and masculinity. This is masculinity, right? So anyway, I have fear, right? I have fear of failure. As much as I've succeeded, as much as I know in my head that I've done these things and accomplished these things, and I have always made a way, it's just like, I don't know, when I used to do walking lunges at the gym, right? I used to hate walking lunges, right, with some heavy ass weights. And I'll tell you why. Is because when it's time to go do those lunges, and I know I need to do like 8 reps and 8 reps coming back, and I've got 100-pound dumbbells, it's like, will I give up? Will the pain, because it's really painful, will the pain be so great this time that I stop. And so I have that fear of failure, right? Because I fear that the pain will make me stop. And so it's almost the same thing. Like if I dedicate the next 3 months to launching this product and creating this new thing and dropping sort of everything else, or mostly dropping everything else, or putting it into very low maintenance mode, what if I don't have the discipline? What if I give up on it? What if I don't put in my full effort? What if I get distracted and then I have messed up the thing that I have going, and I haven't created the thing that I want to create? And what if I do all that stuff and I still end up failing at it, right? Those are fears. Those are real fears, right? That hold you back from taking a risk. And I can tell you, I can relate to them because, like I said, I'm going through them now to a degree. And so again, I guess this video, this channel comes back to my own advice to myself as I'm forced to answer my own questions here. So how do I deal with that, right? How do I actually take those risks? How do I overcome that fear of failure and take those risks? And I think the answer comes down to a couple of different things, right? So the first thing I would tell someone, right, is that, look, and I would tell myself, is that almost anything that you've ever put your full effort into, you've succeeded at. If you think about it, right? You will always be the top of someone, of the people that are doing this thing, if you put your full effort into it. There's nothing in life that you haven't put your full effort into that you haven't at least succeeded and sometimes been number one at, if you put your full effort into it, right? If you're obsessed about this thing and that's all that you're doing and you're just focused on that thing, how can you not succeed at that thing, right? That's the first thing I would say, is that if you're willing to go all into a thing, most likely you're going to succeed. And the other thing I would say about this is that if you're willing to go that far and you're willing to go that far into it, and even if you don't succeed, you can try again. You will learn a lot in that process, right? And yeah, it might be costly in terms of some money or some finances, but you'll survive. You'll survive. You're not going to starve. You're not going to be hungry. You're not going to be homeless, right? Yeah, maybe you'll have to take a job and save up some money again in order to try again, but you will survive. You're not going to just completely be wiped off of the face of the earth from this failure, right? And the other thing I would say is this, is it's like, look, where you're at right now, do you want to be there forever? Because you're on a sinking ship, right? You know that you're on a sinking ship. You know that at the very least, at the very best, let's say, you can keep this ship floating, but you cannot raise the ship above where it's at right now unless you do take the risk, unless you do face that failure, unless you do something different, right? Because again, like you look at even my situation where I'm at, and yeah, and I have taken some risks and some leaps here, but if I just keep on making these videos and that's all that I do, and I don't do anything different, and I just keep on chugging along doing the same thing, I'm going to get the same results. It's not going to increase by a dramatic amount. Yeah, maybe these videos would start to gain more views or whatever. They're not going to get dramatically more views. I know that in order to get dramatically more views on this channel, I would have to do something different, right? I would have to probably have a higher production value, right? Maybe I need to start working on doing some edits myself, which I'm planning on doing some of those things. But the Bulldog Mindset membership, yeah, it'll maybe grow a little bit or kind of stay around the same amount of coaching clients, same type of thing, and nothing really is going to change. And that's the same for you, right? Nothing is going to change unless you actually take some big steps here. And so, yeah, I understand the fear of failure. I totally get it. I mean, it's something that I'm grappling with every day, and I don't even understand why it's so. What do I actually fear? Right? Because, I mean, myself, I can live on nothing. I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't need much. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy going for a run, going to do a workout, reading philosophy, maybe playing some video games, stuff like that, working on my goals. I don't need a life of luxury. I don't need a lot of stuff. I don't need to have expensive things in order to be happy in life. So what am I really afraid of? I don't know. It's hard to place it. It's like you have this primal, this instinct of fear, this fear of losing something that you have that doesn't always make sense, right? That's why a lot of people become successful when they get wiped out, when they have to start over and they're forced to start over, because then it forces them to give up that, to face that fear, right? And so the question is, like, again, if you're on a sinking ship, you're either going to stagnate and go nowhere, or it's going to go down. And so the question is, like, when do you abandon the ship? Do you abandon the ship when you know that it's going down? Or do you wait till it sinks to the bottom and you lose everything and now you have to start over with nothing? That's the real question that I would ask. And so, yeah, you've got to take a risk. It should be a calculated risk. You shouldn't be doing completely stupid things. But, it's just like burning the boats, right? You can't have one foot on the dock and one foot in the boat. I know this, right? Again, it's hard for me to completely follow this advice myself, but especially when you've put in a lot of time, you've worked towards building a career, building a relationship, whatever it is, and now you're going to leave that thing behind, and you're going to go into an unknown territory, and that is scary, right? And it also is scary in the sense that you're tired. I'm tired. I'm not the young man that I was. I'm 43 years old now. I don't have necessarily the energy that I had before, or maybe that's a lie. Maybe that's an illusion. Maybe that's a delusion that I have, right? But that is part of it too. Is that you worry? Will you be able to do it this time? Will you have that? If I go back and I look at my life and I look at some of the things that I've accomplished in life, and I'm like, I don't know how I could have done that now. Like, it's crazy. Like, when I was creating a bunch of courses for this company, Pluralsight, and I was just working like a dog, like building all these courses and shipping them out. It's like, wow, like that part of my life, that period of my life, I was just working like crazy hard. And I don't feel like I could do that now. Even when I think about some of the marathons I've run and training for ultra marathon and running like these 30-mile runs, I don't think I can do that now. I know that I can because every time I've thought that, I went back and trained and did different ultra marathon or ran a marathon and things like that. But it just feels like you can't do it. And so I think what it comes down to is just a commitment, just a serious commitment that you're going to go for this thing, right? And what happens if you go for it and you miss? Like I said, it's not that big of a deal, but you're not going to miss. You're not going to miss if you if you don't go all into it, you will miss. But if you go all into it, if you just push forward with that thing, and hey, most of the time, whatever it is that you leave behind, you could pick it up later and start it up again. Yeah, maybe you'll lose some momentum, but again, I can tell myself that. Like, let's say that I stopped doing anything Bulldog Mindset for a while, stopped doing YouTube videos and all this stuff. And I spent 3 months working on this other project, trying to get this off the ground. If it didn't work out, could I not just go back to Bulldog Mindset? Of course I could. There's plenty of people that have done that and have been successful in doing that. And maybe you come back with a renewed interest or, a different mindset and things have changed. So I'm not saying this to scare you guys not that you would be scared if, John left the internet, but I have thought about that too. I was like, what if I just left the internet and just went into the philosopher's seclusion? But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. It's just not in my blood to do that. But yeah, my advice to you would be to commit to a thing, to drop the other things, knowing that if you fully put your full effort into a thing, you're going to give it the best shot possible. But if you're trying to hold on to something else, you're trying to preserve something else, and that's where that fear of failure and that fear of taking the risk comes from, then it's probably going to hamper you. And it's not, and if you fail doing that, you won't know if you would have succeeded. And hey, life is short. You don't have a lot of time. If you want to do something, if you want to accomplish something, go for it. And even if you make missteps, even if you give up things that you shouldn't have given up, and I've done that before, I'm sure. So what? You've gained experience, you've learned something, and hopefully you've grown and developed as a person, become better. Now, if you guys would like to support me in my efforts, if you would like to join a community of men and get access to hundreds of videos on mindset and philosophy and fitness and financial things, including investing in real estate, building businesses, and social dating, all of that stuff, all of the best knowledge that I have, as well as a community of men. Click the link down below and join us in the Bulldog Mindset membership. I'll see you tomorrow.